Hey guys, I'm gonna address something before I talk about books. I'm gonna address my arm because I'm sure you might be curious if you see this throughout the video. So, sorry, it just looks so bad and it gets worse by the day, but it's a bruise, just a bruise. I'm icing it, I'm doing everything. I'm okay, guys. But basically how I got it is I went to my parents' house for spring break, and when I'm home, I usually, I like to do a good deed. So I go to like my blood donation center and I donate platelets. If you don't know the process of donating platelets, essentially they stick a needle in your arm and they draw out the blood, and then they take the platelets out of the blood and then they put the blood back into your arm. And the entire process takes about 2 hours. And I've done this before. This is my 4th time doing it, so I'm used to it. But this time, I was just reading on my Kindle, and somehow the needle's still in my arm, but it moved outside of the vein or something. And so when the blood was being pumped back into my arm, it was not being pumped back into the vein. My arm was just getting really, really big. It was swelling up to probably like here, and it wasn't rock hard, but it felt tender, but like tough at the same time. I couldn't explain it. But my arm was huge and it didn't really hurt. It just felt like a lot of pressure. So I didn't really say anything. But the machine noticed something was wrong, so it just shut off. And so the person came over and like took the needle out and whatever. And she told me to ice it, and I'm left with this. But I'm okay. I'm fine. Today, I do want to be talking about some books that I bought because I am so financially responsible. So before spring break, I was able to rack up a ton of Barnes & Noble gift cards, and I decided to go on a little shopping spree. But other than that, I also went to the Tucson Festival of Books for the first time. Oh my God, it was a magical experience. I loved the Festival of Books so much. I told myself I was gonna record snippets of the festival to show you guys, but the entire morning was so hectic for me that I kind of just forgot about it, and I was so immersed in living in the festival that I just forgot to whip out my phone. I did get a few recordings, which I will show, but I woke up, I was gonna film me like getting ready for the festival and everything, but I woke up literally 5 minutes before we were supposed to leave, and I had to get ready so quickly that I was literally out of my mind. And I went to the festival and I was so amazed with everything, so many books, so many tents. I was overwhelmed, to be honest, that I honestly just forgot to whip out my phone and record. I was able to meet so many amazing authors. I went to a lot of different author talks, and I heard authors like R.O. Kwon, Julia Phillips, Samantha Harvey. If you don't know who Samantha Harvey is, she won the Booker Prize last year for Orbital, which I will get to later in the video. But I met so many amazing authors, and I was able to talk to them, and they are so wise and funny. But talking to these authors and hearing them talk was so inspirational. It was so enlightening. It just made me feel smarter being in the same room as them. I loved the entire experience. I would recommend everyone go to the Tucson Festival of Books. There is truly something for everyone there. There's like a little science corner, and there's also like free books. You can also talk to a lot of indie booksellers. There's also local authors that you can talk to and purchase their books as well. It's such a loving community, and I just loved the festival so much. The only shame was that I was only able to go to one of the days. The festival's 2 days long, but I was only able to go on Saturday, and I just feel like one day wasn't enough. So next time when I go, I really do want to spend both days. There's just so much to explore. It was one of the best experiences of my life. 100% recommend. I have this huge stack of books, and I'm going to talk about the books that I bought at the festival first. I didn't get to buy many books because I was kind of in a rush, and like I said, it was really overwhelming for some reason. So I was only able to get 4 books. This is Orbital by Samantha Harvey. If you don't know what Orbital is about, it won about a few months ago, the Booker Prize for 2024. And it's about 6 astronauts and cosmonauts on the International Space Station as they live a day in space. And they essentially make 16 orbits around Earth in one day, and this book kind of just records their daily life and what they do, but it's also such a beautiful examination on humanity, politics, religion, just what it means to live, especially because these astronauts and cosmonauts are overlooking a hurricane and watching that hurricane destroy their planet, essentially. I love space. I don't know why, I've always been interested in space. I like learning about planets and whatnot. It's really interesting learning more about Earth from an outsider perspective. You are literally viewing Earth in this book when you're not on Earth, if that makes any sense. In Samantha Harvey's talk with Jamie Quattro, Samantha Harvey talks about how her book is poetry. She would call this poetry. It's kind of like a long form poem, like a 200-page poem. And I highly agree. It's so poetic. It's so beautiful, it flows, it's just amazing. I couldn't recommend this enough, but I do want to reread it because the time that I read this a few months ago and I wasn't really in the headspace for it. I liked what the book was saying, but most of the sentences, most of the words just kind of came in like my eyes absorbed it, but it just left my head because I was a little busy with schoolwork and stuff. So I really want to reread this again and absorb every single sentence because I know I'm gonna love it. I just have to sit down and really work with the novel a little bit more. So that's why I got it. And guys, I got it signed by Samantha Harvey. Oh my God, when I was walking up to talk to Samantha Harvey, my hands were shaking. Like I'm literally probably overreacting, but I was so nervous to talk to her. She's just this icon and she's so smart. I feel like if I say something dumb, she's gonna hate me or something. She's such a gentle person and she's so caring and she's so sweet. Anyways, great book. I love Samantha Harvey. Definitely read this book. Highly, highly recommend. The next book I got is Two-Step Devil by Jamie Quattro. This Jamie Quattro is best friends with Samantha Harvey, which is interesting. I didn't know that, but they have an author talk together. And so I just got both of their books. Two-Step Devil is about a guy who calls himself the Prophet. He's a 70-year-old man who paints his visions. While scrounging for materials at the local scrapyard, the Prophet sees a car pull up to an abandoned gas station. In the back seat is a teenage girl with zip ties on her wrists, a girl he realized he must rescue from her current life. Her name is Michael, and the Prophet feels certain that she is a messenger sent by God to take his end-time warnings to the White House. Michael finds herself in the Prophet's remote, art-filled cabin, and as their certain dynamic evolves into tender friendship, she is offered a surprising opportunity to escape her past and perhaps change her future. The way Jamie Quattro was talking about writing and how to write is so poetic because Jamie Quattro, I didn't know this, but Jamie Quattro is a pianist. She has played piano professionally for a really long time, and so she combines music and literature into one. She talks about how prose is almost like a musical composition, and she structured this novel like a music piece. Like there's 3 movements and a coda at the end, which is so interesting. And she says how each sentence, as she structures it, naturally has a rhythm. And that just sounds so poetic to me, so incredible. And I'm so excited to read this book. I'm really excited to read Two-Step Devil. I mean, if Samantha Harvey enjoyed it, I will too. Also, I got this book signed too. Her signature is so cute. This is Jamie Quattro's signature, and she adds little devil horns on her name. The final author whose books I bought was R.O. Kwon. I got both of her books, The Incendiaries, which is her debut novel, and Exhibit, which is her most recent one, but she said that this book took almost 10 years to write. I'm gonna talk about Incendiaries first. I have a gist on what Incendiaries is about, but I'm not entirely certain. I honestly just blind bought this because I'm obsessed with R.O. Kwon now. Phoebe Lynn and Will Kendall meet in their first month at prestigious Edwards University. Phoebe is a glamorous girl who doesn't tell anyone she blames herself for her mother's recent death. Will is a misfit scholarship boy who transferred in from Bible college, waiting tables to get by. What he knows for sure is that he loves Phoebe. Grieving and guilt-ridden, Phoebe is drawn into a secretive cult tied to North Korea, founded by a charismatic former student with an enigmatic past. When the group commits violent acts in the name of faith, Will finds himself struggling to confront a new version of the fanaticism he's worked so hard to escape. Haunting and powerful, The Incendiaries is a fractured love story and a brilliant look at the minds of extremists. I read the New York Times review for this book, and they also include it in the back, which I think is so interesting. The New York Times says that it's a dark, absorbing story of how first love can be as intoxicating and dangerous as a religious fundamentalism. And also in the New York Times book review, they're saying it's kind of like a love triangle between Phoebe, Will, but also religion and Christianity, or whatever religion this is. And I think that's so fascinating, and I'm really excited to read it. I saw on both of these books, I saw on Goodreads that both of these have quite a low rating, but honestly, that makes me more excited to read them. Aro Kwan is a brilliant woman. I loved hearing her talk, so I'm excited to read it. Also, oh my god, I literally love Aro Kwan. So she signed it. She said, "To Belton, burn bright," and then her signature. Can you see that? I love her. And we also talked about K-dramas a little bit while I was talking with her. She said that her favorite K-drama is Kingdom, which is like a historical drama with zombies, and I told her that she should watch Penthouse, which is an absolutely crazy show. If you know Penthouse, if you know, you know. I also got Exhibit because it's her most recent release. At a lavish party in the hills outside of San Francisco, Jin Han meets Lydia Zhang, and nothing will ever be the same for either woman. A brilliant young photographer, Jin is at a crossroads in her work, in her marriage to her college love Philip, and in who she is and who she wants to be. Lydia is an alluring, injured, world-class ballerina on hiatus from her ballet company under mysterious circumstances. Drawn to each other by their intense artistic drives, the two women talk all night. Cracked open, Jin finds herself telling Lydia about an old familial curse, breaking a lifelong promise. She's been told that if she doesn't keep the curse a secret, she risks losing everything. Death and ruin could lie ahead. As Jin and Lydia become more entangled, they realize they share more than the ferocity of their ambition and begin to explore hidden desires. Something is ignited in Jin. Her art, her body, and her sense of self irrevocably change. But can she avoid the specter of the curse? When Aro Kwan was talking about this book, she's saying how this book is essentially about desires, and how there's a desire to not be lonely, a desire to fit in, but also a desire of the body and through sex and other ways, and also just as a desire to find yourself. And those all sound really interesting to me. She also said that this book is really kinky. And I mean, the blurb right here says that it's a blazing hot novel. You know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I've never read anything like this before. I've never read anything about dirty things like this, but I'm excited. I'm excited. Oh, I got this one signed too. Here's to us. Really excited about that. Really excited about Two Step Devil too. Oh guys, I forgot to mention, I didn't buy their books, but there were a few authors that I was interested in, but I think I was just gonna get their books on Kindle instead. I talked to Eowyn Ivy, who's a huge author, huge author. If you don't know Eowyn Ivy, she wrote the book called The Snow Child, which is pretty big, but she came back and she was talking to us about her most recent book, which is called Black Woods, Blue Sky. And she made it sound really interesting, so I'm gonna read that on my Kindle. But there was also Julia Phillips with Bear. That was really interesting. And there was another book by Jessica Elishiva Emerson, and she wrote a book called Olive Days, and that was really interesting too. So those are the 3 books that I wanted to say as well. Okay, I'm also gonna talk about the books that I bought that weren't for the festival. First one is A Separation by Katie Kitamura. I'm currently in the middle of reading this one. I'm almost done. I am on page 156. And I just had to read this because after reading Intimacies by Katie Kitamura, I was dying for more. I needed more. This novel is about an unnamed narrator who, like in Intimacies, is also an interpreter. And she has agreed with her faithless husband, it's time to separate. They're still kind of intertwined with each other's lives. They haven't really gotten a divorce yet, but they've separated. And they haven't talked to each other in a really long time until Christopher's mom tells her that Christopher is in Greece and the narrator has to fly to Greece to find him. And that's kind of the whole story. That's kind of the main premise of the story, is this narrator separated with her husband, going to Greece to find him. This book also has a low rating on Goodreads, and I think that's just because of poor advertising. When I was looking at this book, a lot of people were advertising this as like the next Gone Girl, which This is not Gone Girl. This is not a thriller. This book is mainly more about language and love and what it means to be married and just how to love. And it talks about those deep themes in not an intense way like Gone Girl. I just think they advertise this book wrong. Like, it's not Gone Girl. But it's really, really good. I'm enjoying it, but it's not as satisfying as Intimacies was. Intimacies was honestly just the perfect book. And I think with this one, Katie Kitamura hasn't really realized her full potential yet. I'm just putting words in her mouth at this point. But this book, it deals with a lot with the same themes as Intimacies, but it's just not, it doesn't hit the same. There are tons of good quotes and I do like it. I mainly read this at night though, so I was kind of a little sleepy. Oopsie. But I still liked it. I'm almost done. I'll finish it soon and then I will give you my full review later. The next book I bought is The White Book by Han Gang. I bought this instantly after finishing We Do Not Part, and so now my Han Gang collection is complete. Let me show you. Oh, okay. I have all of Han Gang's books now, all of them. We Do Not Part, Greek Lessons, Human Acts, The Vegetarian, and The White Book. I've read 3 of the books. The last 2 books I have to read of Han Gang is Greek Lessons and The White Book. The reason I've put these 2 off is because I've heard that these 2 are a little bit more experimental and you really have to sit with them to understand what's going on. The other 3 Han Gang books that I have read, The Vegetarian, Human Acts, and We Do Not Part, were really, really good. I really loved them. I finished We Do Not Part over spring break, and in another video, I will talk about this book, but it was really good. This book is a meditation on color as well as an attempt to make sense of the death of a sister who died in her mother's arms just a few hours after she was born. In captivating, starkly beautiful language, The White Book is a letter to her sister, offering a multi-layered exploration of color and its absence and the tenacity and fragility of the human spirit. I think it's the smallest, yeah, it's the smallest out of all the books, and I feel like this one just reads like poetry. I haven't read it yet, but it's kind of these small vignettes, small chapters on the color white and the meditation of white and white objects. I feel like it's just gonna be so beautiful and so engulfing, so I'm gonna save this for a time when I really am able to just sit with it and absorb everything Han Gang has to say. Because if you didn't know, Han Gang was originally a poet before she became a novelist. And so that's why I'm obsessed with her language. It's so poetic, the way that she describes humanity and violence and what it means to live, and it's just beautiful. Okay, the next book that I bought is Lie With Me by Felipe Besson, translated by Molly Ringwald. This is a book written originally in French, I wanna say. Yes, French. If you don't know what it's about a guy named Felipe who chances upon a young man who bears a striking resemblance to his first love. What follows is a look back at the relationship he's never forgotten, a hidden affair with a boy named Thomas during their last year of high school. Thomas is the son of a farmer, Felipe the son of a school principal. At school, they don't acknowledge each other, but they steal time to meet in secret, carrying on a passionate, world-altering affair. Despite the intensity of their attraction, from the beginning, Thomas knows it will end. Because you will leave and we will stay, he says. Felipe becomes a writer and travels the world, though he never lets go of the relationship that shaped him and every story he's ever told. I wanted to read this book for a very, very long time. I just feel like it's so poetic, and all the reviews that I've read about this book just rave about it and how it's such a beautiful description on what first love feels like and the tragedies of it, because this is essentially a forbidden love at a time period that's not really accepting of them. And I really want to read it. I've had this on my to-read list for so long, and I finally have my hands on it. And it's really, really short. I feel like I can finish it in less than a day. Okay, I'm almost done. But the next book I got is Small Rain by Garth Greenwell. A poet's life is turned inside out by sudden, wrenching pain. The pain brings him to his knees and eventually to the ICU. Confined to bed, plunged into the dysfunctional American healthcare system, he struggles to understand what is happening to his body, as someone who has lived for many years in his mind. This is a searching, sweeping novel set at the farthest edges of human experience, where the forces that give life value, art, memory, poetry, music, care, are thrown into sharp relief. Time expands and contracts. Sudden intimacies bloom. Small rain surges beyond the hospital to encompass a radiant vision of human life, our shared vulnerability, the limits and possibilities of empathy, the ideal of art, and the fragile dream of America. Above all, this is a love story of the most unexpected kind. That sounds brilliant. And I read a few passages already of the beginning, and the prose is just so beautiful. Like, I couldn't put it down. This book is set during COVID, which I think I said this for when I read Dear Dickhead by Despentes, but I don't normally read books that are set during the pandemic because I don't really want to. Like, I don't really have a desire to. Maybe it's because it's like too soon or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like this is so interesting. And also, Katie Kitamura on the back has written a blurb for it. Katie Kitamura has said, Garth Greenwell writes with exquisite precision on pain and loss, but his novel is equally a meditation on joy, beauty, and above all, love. Like, come on. This book sounds so good. It sounds like it's right up my alley. Sounds like I'll really enjoy it. I'm really excited for this one. It is, I feel like it's gonna be very dense because, I mean, I'll show you. Long paragraphs. And I feel like this is a book that I'll also have to sit down to fully enjoy. I keep saying this, but honestly, school has kind of been kicking my butt. So I'm gonna read most of these when I have time. The next book I bought is A Magical Girl Retires by Park Sol-yeon, translated by Anton Her. I love Anton Her. Anything he translates, I will probably read. Excellent translator. He translated one of my favorite books, Love in the Big City by Park Sang-young. 29, depressed and drowning in credit card debt after losing her job during the pandemic. Oh, another book about the pandemic. I didn't realize. A woman decides to end her troubles by jumping off Seoul's Mapo Bridge. But her attempt is interrupted by a girl dressed all in white. Aurora, the clairvoyant magical girl, is on a mission to find the greatest magical girl of all time, and our protagonist just may be that special someone. But the young woman's initial excitement turns to frustration when she learns being a magical girl in real life is much different than how it's portrayed in stories. It's not just destiny, it's work. Magical girls go to job fairs, join trade unions, and attend classes. And for this magical girl, there are no special powers and no great perks. And despite being magical, she still battles with low self-esteem. Her magic wand is a credit card, which she must use to defeat a terrifying threat that is neither monster nor intergalactic war. I don't read fantasy. I was a huge fantasy lover when I was a child, but now when I read fantasy, it's kind of just like cringy to me. And maybe I haven't read the right one yet. Don't flame me. But I just don't like world building, and I don't like reading about other worlds that are not this one. I might be narrow-minded or whatever, but I like books that take place in the real world. But this one really intrigued me because of how they use fantasy. It's not like completely fantastical world. It's like, this is the real world with a few fantastical elements, which is what I appreciate. And I also really like when the fantasy elements bring out humanity and talk about a specific theme about humanity. And so the fantasy in this book doesn't seem to be for fantasy's sake, but more for a deeper dive on what it means to be human, which I really, really like. So I'm really intrigued with this one. And it's also a pretty short book, so might finish this one soon. Also, let me say this really quick. When you take off the dust jacket cover, usually it's like a basic, boring black book, right? But this one is gorgeous. Look at that. Oh my God. And also, there's like a quote on the back. This is how you design hardcovers. I expect this from every single hardcover. Come on. Okay, one more book. The very last book that I bought is another Korean translated novel. It's Counterattacks at 30 by Won Pyung-sun. I've read her other book, Almond. Almond's a very popular novel. If you haven't read Almond, highly, highly recommend. But I've heard lots of things about this book and how it's completely different from Almond. Like, I think the translator's note in the back talks about how this book and Almond seem like they're written completely by different authors. And it's like the vibe and how they're written is completely different. And honestly, I'm all for it. I'm all for authors experimenting and writing in different styles. So thank you. Oh, I should also mention this is translated by Sean Lynn Halbert. Ji-hye is an ordinary woman who has never been extraordinary. In her administrative job at the academy, she silently tolerates office politics and the absurdities of Korean bureaucracy. Forever only one misplaced email away from career catastrophe, she effectively becomes a master of the silent eye roll and the tactical coffee run. But all her efforts to endear her superiors and the semi-hostile work environment they create are upended when a new intern, Gyu-ok Lee, arrives. Like a pacifist version of V in V for Vendetta, Gyu-ok recruits a trio of office allies to carry out plans for minor revenge. Together, these four rebels commit tiny protests against those in more powerful positions through spraying graffiti, throwing eggs, and writing anonymous exposés. But as their attacks increase, the initial joy they felt at the release becomes something more, and Ji-hye and the others will discover the beauty of friendship and the extraordinary power of unity against adversity. Even from the synopsis alone, this book and Almond seem very different from one another. Almond focuses on a boy who's very special and extraordinary. He's missing his amygdala, I think. Amygdala, which is like almond shaped, and so it doesn't allow him to process emotions. But this one talks about a normal, ordinary office worker, and I feel like this one will talk about, you know, the work life, career, just what it means to be a working woman in a society, and how can you deal with the fact that you're ordinary when you want to be more, if that makes any sense. I haven't read the book yet. I guess I'll find out. But, you know, I'll be entering the workforce soon, I guess. Stress, guys. I'll be entering the workforce soon when I leave college. So I feel like this book will be an interesting introduction to the work life and how, even though your life may seem ordinary and mundane, there may be something more to it. So that's kind of why I picked it up. But also, I love the author. I loved Almond, so hopefully I'll like this one too. Those are all the books that I bought for spring. If you've read any of these books, please let me know what you think about them. And in a future video, probably in one of my recaps or something, I will definitely talk about these books when I get to them, and I'll review them and recommend them or whatever. If you've watched this whole thing, thank you. Please let me know what books you guys are reading, or what books you guys bought recently. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll end it here. Bye.